Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Eccentric Mind Podcast with me, George Hernandez. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Today, we're going to talk about how to finally change for good. We're going to talk about personal change, understanding the mentality and behaviors holding you back from reaching the best version of yourself, and what we can start doing so you can finally build the person you're proud to live in. Let's get started. So, I have this hook right here. It's not you that's the problem, just the systems you have in place holding you back from change. Now, if we think about it, habits are these recurrent, programmed, and automatic solutions to our everyday problems. And we have solutions to them every single time they appear. We never have a lack of problems, but we have few habits to tend to these problems. And typically, those are the ones that we need to change. All right, we have these habitualized habits, these patterns that we do on a day to day basis that are pretty much creating the outcomes of our lives. And based on our lack of understanding or our lack of awareness, it's kind of creating some sort of life that we're unsatisfied with. Now, so many people will specifically have a goal, but because of the systems that they have in place, their actions, their thoughts, their behaviors, it's kind of holding them back from where they initially wanted to go in the first place. So there's this quote by James Clear. Most of this I've learned so much by James Clear. I reread Atomic Habits for the third time now, and it's just amazing how much of a positive rhythm I've been in again since I've read this book again. It's just a complete life changer. Go and read Atomic Habits 1000%. Now that I speak about that, there's one specific quote in it that I will always remember, and it's every action you take is a vote for the person that you wish to become. And when it comes to building someone new, you have to get rid of the habits that you have in place, or else they're just going to continuously hold you back from the position that you desire to be in. Think of this example, picture this inside of your head. Think of somebody who recurrently has a dirty room, all the time they have a dirty room. There's shoes on the floor, there's papers all over the floor. I'm literally talking about myself. Um, but they have that spurt of motivation to be able to, okay, you know what? I'm going to clean every single trash that's up there. I'll pick up all the shoes and I'm going to organize them very neatly. I'm going to grab all these papers and store them, and I'm going to be very ritualized and habitualized, and I'm going to have a system in place and whatever. And they make it to the point where this room is spotless, and then 2 or 3 days later the room is messy again. Well, why is that? Because they haven't built themselves to be the type of person that is able to keep a clean room. Right? So the systems that they have in place are not helping them out and are just kind of making the room messy all the time, right? It's your habits. It's not you specifically, but your systems and what you do, okay? It's all the nature of breaking away from yourself to become your new self. So, how do we do this? Well, many people want change, but aren't willing to change. People want an outcome. They don't want a lifestyle. I have this thing called artificial progress, right? And I'm going to touch up a little bit on it right now, but stick with me. How many times have you set a goal, made a few changes, tried it a couple times, and since you didn't see the result, you stopped? I've been in here in the past before. I tried to lose weight for a long period of time when I was like 17, 16. I gained a lot more weight, then I lost some weight, and then I gained it again. And then I was trying to get myself back into this flow and this rhythm of being able to be diligent, be disciplined, and show up consistently. But because my eyes were solely set on the prize itself, on the outcome that I wanted to attain, I never really was able to meet that expectation, right? So we have this big outcome goal, but we refuse to think about who is it that we want to be and how can we embody that individual today, so that way we do the things that they do on a regular basis, so that way we can then just step into them, right? So who is the type of person that you want to be like? If you want to be somebody that's lean and shredded and in really good shape, well, what are the behaviors that they partake in, right? Maybe they drink more water than you do. Maybe they drink less soda than you do. Maybe they eat protein first thing in the morning. Maybe they take a walk right after lunch. These are the behaviors that they pick up. And so these are the things that you can start picking up yourself. Because if you want change, you have to focus more on your lifestyle in the present day rather than just working yourself towards the outcome. Okay. We'll work out for 3 days and don't see the results, so we stop. And it's because we're settled on the goal, not the process in order to achieve that goal. So let's say you set a goal to lose 60 pounds in 10 months. Very realistic, very achievable goal. Now, let's say during those 10 months, you pick up the skills, habits, behaviors to lose the weight, but within that 10-month threshold, you only lost 45 pounds. Should you give in? Should you say, oh, it's not worth it? No, because guess what? You picked up something far more valuable than an extra 15 pounds of weight loss ever could, which is you picked up the skills, you picked up the habits, you changed your behaviors and your traits, and now you have the potential to lose 15 more pounds. But on top of that, which is the very important part, you have now become the type of person that is able to maintain the weight loss rather than losing 30 pounds in a month and then regaining it back after that month, right? So let's say you set another goal, right? You want to lose 40 pounds in 2 months. All right. This is the contrast. All right. This is the contrast in mentalities and positions people put themselves in. And I want you to see which one is more advantageous, as in good, which one is actually healthier and better. Whereas most of the goals that people make, I want you to see just how much worse it is compared to the other one. Okay. So let's say you set a goal to lose 40 pounds. This is the second one. You set a goal, which is what most people set their goals towards. I'm going to lose 40 pounds in 2 months. It's achievable, yes, but in order to achieve that goal, you have to be very regimented. You have to be very restricted and restrained on yourself, but it's not realistic for your ideal outcome, right? So you shouldn't even try it. However, this is the route everyone goes down because they're fixated on this outcome, but don't become the person who's capable of withstanding it. Because by the time they've lost the weight, this is where artificial progress comes in. Their systems, like we mentioned in the past, haven't changed. All they've changed is what they do on a day to day basis, but it's based on willpower and discipline and self improvement, bro. Right. So most of the time, within that 40-day threshold, if they were to lose, or excuse me, if they were to lose 40 pounds within those 2 months, they have cooked all their willpower to be able to show up daily. Now, us as individuals, we only have so much willpower that we can eschew or so much that we can use. We don't have that much willpower in the gas tank. And the more we use it, the more it's likely to harm us at the end of the day. So, all that's been done is that they've cooked their nervous system and their willpower. So, let's say for those 2 months, you decide, okay, no junk food. I'm going to be running every day. I'm going to be lifting every day. You may be able to do that for that time frame and lose the goal, or excuse me, lose the weight and hit your outcome goal. Amazing. Great. But I wrote it down here. Let's say you stop eating junk food. When junk food comes to them, they'll think, I deserve this. And then they'll indulge on the foods they've skipped out on and most of the time regain the weight again. This is what I call artificial progress. Okay, artificial progress. Artificial progress is having set a specific outcome goal, a goal that you want to attain, but you move yourself towards that outcome by showing up daily, by staying disciplined and using all your willpower in order to hold it within the palm of your hands. However, you did not become the person that is capable of maintaining it. So you don't become the person that's consistent. You don't become the person that's super disciplined. You don't change your behaviors. You don't eat healthier. You don't, you're not focused on wellness. You don't have a good regimented nutrition plan. All of the things that it would take in order to become a healthier individual, you actually don't pick up those skills. All you do is focus solely on the outcome, right? And you will do anything to achieve that outcome. You won't eat on certain days. You'll run extra without eating. You won't drink. You'll drink nothing but water. You'll go on fast. You'll do juice fast or whatever. But it's not helping, right? You're not actually learning or picking up the skills in order to be able to hold that progress that you've made. Okay. So now can you see the what is the word I'm looking for? The contrast. Can you see the contrast of what I'm trying to explain? On one end, sure, you're not hitting it within the time frame that you desire, but you're picking up the skills in order to keep it and be able to be healthier, to be able to be happier. But on the other side, all you focus on is getting that goal right away, and you may get it right away. But then you lose it the next month because you didn't pick up the habits, you didn't pick up the systems to allow you to hold on to it. Okay. Like I mentioned in the past, it's not you that's the problem, just the systems you have in place holding you back from change. You may try new things, you may try new ways to lose weight, but if you haven't habitualized them, then you will not be able to keep them. Just like that person is not able to keep that room clean. Okay. Progress doesn't always look like numbers on the scale or broad shoulders or numbers on the bank account, but what matters is whether your habits are putting you on the path towards success. You should be more focused on your trajectory, less on your results right now. Because what's more important? Where are you going? Where are you? That's what's more important. I have this story with my older brother. The other day, so for context purposes, my older brother's trying to gain weight. He's been on a bulk for a couple weeks now. He's just really starting to get into the gym. He's getting stronger, he's getting better, etc., etc. However, he's a little discouraged at the fact that he's not seeing those numbers on the scale go up. Which obviously this happens to us. This happens all the time. However, what the heck? No way. Dang. Okay. Fuck it. I didn't record on my audio, but that's okay. Anyways, so my older brother, he is on a bulk. He's trying to lose weight, or excuse me, he's trying to gain weight. A little frazzled there after that. He's trying to gain some weight, and I'm taking him to the gym. We're in the car. He's a little discouraged at the fact that he hasn't seen the numbers go up on the scale. And we get inside of the gym. We start incline benching. He immediately, like, I notice it right away, and I could tell he's not noticing it himself, but his form is getting better. He's pushing it. The concentric is so much better, right? Form, weights going up. At the same time, this dude used to hit the brackets whenever he was pushing up on the concentric, but his form's gotten better when he's going down, and when he's going up, he's no longer hitting the brackets. So I told him he's not aware of the actual progress that's being made in the background. All he's focused on is the outcome. He's not actually seeing the trajectory in which he's moving towards the person that is able to withstand it. And so that's something for you to hold. Like, what are some key points? What are some progressions that you've been able to make that you're not seeing? Even though you're not seeing it on the scale, even though you're not seeing it on the bank account or the business or whatever it is, I'm pretty sure if you are staying consistent, if you're showing up, there are some key points of progression that you're missing. Okay. So what do we do, right? Like, what do we do, right? You told me all this stuff. Like, what do I do now? How do I change, right? Like, okay, how do I do exactly what you were telling me? So, one, be aware of your negative behaviors, right? So, James Clear wrote, many of our failures in performance are largely attributable to a lack of self awareness. Very well said. So, my negative behavior was binge eating. I did binge eating for a good amount of time, and there was a lot of points where I had this body dysmorphia. I was trickled with shame, poor self-esteem. Poor self-esteem turned into anhedonia, etc., etc. Get aware of your negative habits, right? What's giving you momentum to becoming the type of person you want to be, and what's taking away from that momentum from the person that you want to be. Whatever's taking your time, your attention, and your energy and isn't aligned, write it down. Be aware of it. Understand the trigger. And now that you have the awareness, you have power over it, because you can finally stand up and say no when the opportunity to indulge comes. Okay? So that way you let go of the negative ones, and now you start applying the same new, better behaviors. Okay? So it's not necessarily you that's the problem. I'm trying to make you understand this. It's not you that's the problem. It's your systems that you have in place. You need to be aware of what's going on and what you're trickling down to, and what's your normal behaviors when you're alone, your normal behaviors when you get home from work. You need to start flipping the switch so that way you can build systems that attribute to, well, attribute to your success. So get really aware of your negative habits, right? So whether that's, when you get home, do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or do you get home and shower and read a book? Do you, before you go to bed, or when you wake up first thing in the morning, do you scroll on your phone or do you go outside, right? There's a pretty good track sheet that he has on the book. I'll go ahead and just like show it. It's pretty much putting down all the tasks that you do from morning to bed. What are those behaviors? What do you do? What are the things that you normally do? Do you scroll on your phone for 30 minutes? Do you, immediately get out of bed? Do you make your bed, etc., etc., etc.? List down every single thing that you do on a day-to-day basis. Okay? And then on the side of it, put a plus if it's good for you. If it's like scrolling phone first thing in the morning, that's a negative. If it's stepping outside first thing in the morning, that's a positive. But you need to make it, what is the word? Linear. So what's the process of your day? It needs to be in a linear fashion from morning to the afternoon to sunset to bed. Okay? What are all those behaviors? And list them down and be as objective as you possibly can be. So me personally, I got really aware of my negative habits. Obviously mine was binging. The way I was predicting my behaviors when I was getting home, I was gonna get home, I was gonna get the toaster, I was gonna get the bread, I was gonna get the peanut butter, and I was gonna get the jelly, and blah 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 blah. Right? I got aware of the issue, but there's a big but here. There's still all this junk in my environment. That doesn't help me to make this. That doesn't help me make the type of decisions that I want to make, nor does it push me further towards the goal that I'm trying to achieve, which is wellness or clarity or a stronger mentality, right? Or better self-esteem, whatever it is. So how am I going to achieve these goals with all of this junk and all of this stuff around me, the cookies, the ice cream, all this stuff, when I'm just trying to get rid of this habit? Well, that's where environment change comes in. Anne Thorndike, a primary care physician at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, had a crazy idea. She believed she could improve the eating habits of thousands of hospital staff and visitors without changing their willpower or motivation in the slightest way. In fact, she didn't plan on talking to them at all. Thorndike and her colleagues designed a 6-month study to alter the choice architecture of the hospital cafeteria. They started by changing how drinks were arranged in the room. Originally, the refrigerators located next to the cash registers in the cafeteria were filled with only soda. The researchers added water as an extra option. Additionally, they placed baskets of bottled water next to the food stations throughout the room. Soda was still in the primary refrigerators, but water was now available at all drink locations. Over the next 3 months, the number of soda sales at the hospital dropped by 11.4%. Meanwhile, sales of bottled water increased by 25.8%. Nobody has said a word to anyone eating there. We choose products not because of what they are, but because of where they are. Many of the actions we take each day are shaped not by purposeful drive and choice, but by the most obvious option. Man, what a powerful, powerful story. That's the key. So we understand our negative behavior, binging, right? That's our thing. Now, does our environment facilitate us to make progress in our goal of weight loss or more relief and peace throughout our day if the pantry, the fridge, and counter is filled with nonsense that doesn't align with what we want? If it isn't, you'll always lose that battle, and you'll always find yourself at the bottom. What is it? The bottom of a gallon of ice cream, right? So that's it. You need to be aware of your behavior. Okay, if I binge and my environment is inviting binging, then I need to start changing my environment. Okay? That's the power of having the awareness that you need to start changing your environment, right? That's the beautiful power of it. Okay? Now, because most of the time, I think I had this really cool insight, which was willpower, right? Do not think that you can possibly outwill yourself from saying no to treats, to temptations that you typically would say yes to. Okay? A misconception people have is that they'll just be more disciplined, more consistent, have more willpower. But this is false because the human only has a couple of shots of willpower, just like I was mentioning before. If you keep having to decline sweet treats that are in the pantry, You're building the bottomless pit of urge and desire the moment you let yourself indulge in one. The moment you do, it'll be another bottomless pit down the empty gallon of ice cream again. So the more you keep saying no, you're like depositing this this inner urge to eat it again, right? But because it's in your environment, you know, oh, my goal is no, I can't. Like, I can't do it. I can't do it. The moment you try a little bit of chocolate, the moment you try a little bit of peanut butter, have a scoop of ice cream, you're just going to want to indulge on everything. So stop trying to outwill yourself. The people that have the most willpower are typically the ones that understand their temptations, and they build an environment to which it's easier for them to say no to the temptations. Okay? That's the power of willpower. It's by building, it's by being proactive. I wrote here, willpower isn't reactive strength, but a proactive muscle. Being proactive in creating positive cues that get you to partake in healthier behaviors and not destroying behaviors that don't grow fruit for you. So like the story indicated, we don't necessarily get rid of the soda, we don't get rid of the cookies, but we add new healthier options inside to which it's able to overpower it. Okay? So in my case, for an example, I had cookies, I had ice cream, I had bagels, I had peanut butter, all types of stuff in the pantry, in the fridge, on the counters, etc., etc. So what I started doing is I just started buying way more fruit. I bought frozen fruit, would put it in my freezer right in front of the ice cream. So that way the ice cream would be out of sight. And oh, I only have a good healthy option like blueberries if I want to snack on something. I would get ready to eat yogurts, and for the most part, just berries, fruit, bananas, peaches, kiwis, etc., etc. And it was also a more aligned option with what I wanted to persist in. So if I did have a day where it was rough on me, well, if I was choosing to eat something, it was something that was healthier and building fruit for me rather than, just sending me down a bottomless pit. Okay. So I hope that one helped there. So, damn, yeah. Yeah, that's literally everything I wanted to say right there. And I think all of this gets easier over time. You, as an individual, as a human being, you will have temptations. Okay. That's something that's always going to stick. However, the more you are aware of your negative behaviors, the more you build a environment that is only giving you positive cues rather than negative cues, the less powerful the temptations will be. And the more you say no to those temptations, the stronger you as a person get, because you're stepping into the type of person that you want to be, no longer dwelled in the person that you are that you're unsatisfied with. You're actually physically, fundamentally making and building momentum as you go, only by saying no to things that are no longer aligned with the person that you want to become. Okay? So, yeah, the more you stack proof of your resistance towards temptation, the direct impact in how you feel will proportionally grow as a result. One day you'll reflect and think of how proud you are of yourself for having done the right thing compared to the satisfying thing. We either choose comfort in the present or we choose a slight inconvenience for a lifetime of fulfillment. Yeah, all day. So, final. Instead of focusing all of your will on the goal itself, focus on being the person capable of withstanding the goal. Who's the person who's lean? Who's the person that has a healthier relationship with his spouse? Who's the person that has more peace in his life? What are the actions that they take on a regular day basis? And what can you start implementing into your life now? But before you start applying and adding more stuff onto your plate as is, you need to start getting rid of the things that are no longer providing you fruit. So you need to be aware of your negative behaviors. You need to get rid of them as a result. You need to change your environment so that way you can start adding on the new things as well and build that habit. Okay? So to change who you are is to change what you do. Every action you take is a vote for the person that you wish to become. So, yeah, that's it, Yeah, that's it. I hope this helped. Yeah. Yeah, that's literally everything I wanted to say. I hope this helped, to the individual that's struggling or the individual that, I don't know, is finding themselves at the empty gallon of ice cream. Yeah, that shit's tough, bro. That shit's tough. And I think the temptations will always be there, but there's more satisfaction in declining it and resisting it and saying no to it than you get by eating the entire thing. And I'm not even ashamed to say that I was on that path for a little bit, but you do things for a long period of time and then you grow from it, you learn from it. And yeah, I hope you guys use this. One of the things that I was really trying to get you guys to understand is that slow change is the long path is the shortcut. The shortcut is typically not the shortcut. If you want change, you need to ensure that it's slow. But if you want fast change, you're going to understand in a very harsh manner that it's just artificial progress and it's not something that's maintainable. So go for the short route, or excuse me, go for the long route, because that's ultimately the shortcut. And when you do it for you, you do it slow. When you do it for everyone else, you do it fast. And the faster you go, the longer it'll take to reach the goal. So instead of an outcome-based goal, think in terms of an identity-based goal. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to embody? Who do you want to become? So I'll leave you guys with that one. One question I have for you is, what's one thing you'll commit to doing this week to test this? And I'd love to see your comments down below just to get a glimpse on what you guys are up to. And now, if you somehow stayed this far, go ahead and consider subscribing to the channel. Go ahead and share the podcast to help somebody else who's also dealing with the same struggle themselves. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.